Alright, so my battery's low. It's at 14% remaining. I just downloaded the video to my computer. Um, Storage space running out. It says it'll take, let's see what it says. Natalie and I in Virginia, 23% uploaded, about 1 hour remaining. There's the video I'm making right now, and the one that I just posted. With police telling me every goddamn thing is in the wrong jurisdiction. I fucking tried. I went to multi-patrol offices in Colorado. I went to Broomfield in Colorado. Adams County Sheriff's Department. I went to Boulder County Sheriff's Department. I went to everyone there was to go to in all of these fucking jurisdictions. They didn't fucking care. I gotta plug this into the goddamn wall so it doesn't die before it's done uploading. Give me a few seconds. Alicia Bollinger tried to destroy her Facebook. She didn't do a very effective job. The only thing that was removed is some of the posts that she had sent me, pictures that she had sent me, and her face. It says Facebook user now. It's still Alicia fucking Bollinger. So after this video is done downloading, I'm going to show you the conversations between her and I on Facebook Messenger so that you guys understand what the fuck was actually going on. Natalie was on fucking heroin. Now, those phones that were stolen, those have a lot of evidence that show that I was the one that was victimized. That people threw me away without looking at what was going on. The one that's downloading right now, it shows that I get fucking frustrated with computer shit. It fucking overwhelms me. Natalie fucking knew that. It also shows the 2 messages that I sent her, 2, after I left Virginia to let her know what the fuck was going on. To let her know that I had people fucking threatening me. The way the people were fucking treating me, and I fucking approached it nicely to start. But not being able to see my loved ones, being cut off from them because the phone was still in Alicia's name. I needed help. I needed actual help, being cut off from my loved ones, being cut off from my support network. That was fucking hell for me. I literally broke the law to try to force a fucking day in court. And then they prevented me from going to those fucking court dates. I admit to breaking the fucking law because I tried everything else. By the police's own fucking admission, I went to them. By their own fucking admission. But I can't show the fucked up things that they did because they won't release that information unless I have a fucking lawyer. I need help. I get fucking overwhelmed. I was real fucking patient. That slander by the Bollinger family didn't cut me off from one or two people. It cut me off from my home, Boulder, Colorado. It cut me off from all of the positive people in my life, in real life. I love a lot of people. There were a lot of positive people in Boulder, Colorado. I didn't just look out for them. I didn't just keep them safe. They also kept me safe because they knew that I was a good man. They knew that I stayed away from the drugs. They knew that if somebody tried to hurt them, I would get in between that person and their intended victim. But that slander was too fucking much. After that's done, because it's been like an hour that it's been fucking downloading already. So it's going to be another hour before it's finished. A whole more, a whole another hour until it's finished. And after that, I get to go through and I get to read again Alicia Bollinger's messages. And then I can show you what it is that's on Natalie Bollinger's fucking Facebook. And you can see from our messages between each other and what she typed on her final public post that she fucking slandered the shit out of me. That it wasn't stalking, that we were friends, that she was trying to help me get a job. She invited me to fucking Virginia, and I posted that shit too. People didn't like it up there. They didn't want to see the truth. They wanted to prevent me from showing the truth. They did everything that they could to destroy the truth so that other people couldn't fucking see it. They did everything they could to call what it is that I was showing, what were they calling it? Spam. You know how many times I was cut off and put on a 30-day Facebook ban because they called everything spam? Or because I showed evidence of the fucking truth? And I've already posted up the stuff from Matty Boa. Matty Boa had 2 accounts. You're damn right I was harassing them. I wasn't able to see my loved ones without being threatened, harassed, assaulted over things that I didn't fucking do. The police wouldn't do a goddamn thing. All of the excuses that the police used why they couldn't do a goddamn thing, they did those things for the Bollingers. Who is it that fucking raped Natalie and Alicia? It was Ted fucking Bollinger. I shouldn't have had to break the fucking law. And these people who want to fucking hate me and throw me away without looking at both sides want to listen to fucking slander, but not take a look. When it comes to Cammie Jepsen, there's 2 Cammie Jepsens. There's Cammie Fred Eamon Jepsen, and there's Cammie Jepsen, I think it's Augustine or something like that. Higgestine, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But when I say Cammie Jepsen, that's the one I'm talking about. Between taking a look at the stuff between me and Candace, and just taking Candace's word for it. She just takes Candace's word for it, and I'm not allowed to defend myself. She says she doesn't care. That's the situation I'm fucking dealing with. A lot of these people, they're not gonna show the whole fucking truth. After the fucked up shit that they did to me, all they're gonna show is the way that I reacted to the abuse. You want me to not have fucking meltdowns? Then help me to get to a non-abusive environment. Help me to get this abuse to stop. Not just abuse by the Bollingers and the public, but the abuse by the judicial system, the abuse by the police, the abuse by the general fucking public who didn't get to see the whole truth when it mattered. They based their opinions on fucking slander. While these people were doing everything in their power to prevent me from being able to show the truth when it fucking made a difference. There were literally thousands upon thousands of people looking at my Facebook, trying to find the truth. But because I was cut off, and because the police were on a fucking smear campaign, and the Bollingers were on a smear campaign, and nobody cut them off. That's all people got to see. And I was harmed repeatedly over it. And people thought that because they found Natalie's killer that it was done and over with. No, it wasn't. The things that were done to me by Officer Waylon Lolatai, by the police across the state of Colorado, including at Candace Bondurant's house in Boulder, Colorado as well. I mean, Candace Bondurant's house is in Haxton, Colorado. That was before they found Natalie's killer. Boulder, Colorado. That was before they found Natalie's killer. Broomfield. That was before they found Natalie's killer. These police did so much fucked up shit. And those weren't the only police agencies that I had to deal with before they found her killer. Meanwhile, I was in contact with Rochelle Shelley Campbell at their request, and Danica Garner's at their request. And I was never allowed to show that in court. I repeatedly went to these places by myself because nobody else would go in with me. Nobody else could find the time. They would make promises and then they were sick, or their kids were sick, or they had to go to the hospital, or somebody fucking died. But that's not what the police wrote down, is it? There are conversations with witnesses on here that show that people tried repeatedly to get the police to take a look. They made every excuse not to. Every fucking excuse that they could not to take a look, so that they could railroad me in court. After they found Joseph Michael Lopez killer, police in Colorado went, holy fuck, we fucked up. We gotta cover this shit up. And you fucking helped them. I have meltdowns every day. I relive that trauma every fucking day. But I wasn't worth speaking up for, was I, Darren O'Connor? Because I'm not black enough. Because I'm not Hispanic enough. Because I don't have a roof over my head. Because I don't have Black Lives Matters behind me. And because you, Darren O'Connor, were too afraid to come forward. But I got you, didn't I, Darren? I recorded our fucking phone calls. Who was it that was letting you know about the other victims of Wayland Lolatai? That was me, Darren O'Connor. Tony Kovaleski. I was speaking out about Officer Wayland Lolatai before you ever did your special on Wayland Lolatai. And did Darren O'Connor tell you about me? No, he didn't. And when I tried to contact you and your news station, what did they do? They made fun of me and blocked me. When I tried to let you know about Clearview, another one of those places that I had to deal with before they found Natalie Killer, and I told you what they did to me. Did you fucking care? No, I was made fun of and hung up on. And what happened? Clearview fucking killed a man doing exactly what you pretended I was lying about. They killed Tibor Hete at Clearview. They were keeping people longer than those people needed to be there to fleece those people for money. Not their insurance money, but American taxpayer dollars. The homeless people that were locked up there were treated completely different from the people who were there because their families were worried. I was suicidal over abuse, over being cut off from my loved ones. The last thing I needed was more abuse in that place. All Darren O'Connor cared about was his goddamn reputation. News agencies, they wouldn't listen to anyone. They had already printed their slander and didn't care that it destroyed a human life. Just like Natalie Bollinger didn't care that her lying and saying that I stalked her to Virginia destroyed my life. Those rumors got out of hand. Before I even got out of Virginia, Alicia Bollinger got a hold of Maddie Boa and told Maddie Boa that I had threatened her fucking family. I didn't. I was dehydrated. I was stuck in the fucking road with a broken fucking vehicle. I was trying to get help. You want to know who it is that I was going to see other than Alicia and Natalie in Virginia? Do you want to know? Mahalia Jean Pierre, I already posted her stuff up, but she was already in Boulder. That's why it wasn't just going to be 2 weeks because I wasn't going to leave Mahalia stuck in somebody's house who expected her to fucking give him a blowjob to stay there. She had a newborn baby. Who the fuck would do that? So I only planned a 2 week trip. And I had money that I could spend while I was there. But going back and rescuing who? Jamie Lee Curtis and her son cost me that money. And when I went back to Virginia, I was broke and I had to get a job when I got there. But I planned on staying 4 months. I planned on staying there long enough to help Natalie heal up. So that if she had another situation with her mom where she wanted to fucking kill herself, that instead of driving a vehicle into a fucking tree or overdosing on her fucking opiates, that she would have someone there that actually fucking cared and understood. Girls cut themselves, boys commit suicide. And all these people who threw me away, what they weren't understanding is that, first of all, I'm having a severe panic attack over fucking texting because you are taking so much wrong. And every time you slander me on my own fucking Facebook, you are making things worse for me. You could have talked to me like a human being. Just like Natalie Bollinger could have talked to me like a human being. Just like Alicia Bollinger could have talked to me like a human being. And Maddie Boa could have talked to me like a human being and tried to understand instead of slandering me. Because that slander resulted in people harming me over something that I had no control over. I have no control over these people and their slander. I didn't have any control over my vehicle breaking down. I didn't have any control over fucking being dehydrated. I was dehydrated. I couldn't go back and undehydrate myself. I needed to talk to Natalie one-on-one because when there's multiple people, I get overwhelmed. But every time it was me and Natalie, her sister had to be there, and her sister was the dominant one. Any time that Natalie or I started to speak, Alicia would talk over us, tell us how to think and how to feel. Both of us, not just me, but also Natalie. She had to wait for her sister to go away to get her purse or to go to the bathroom to get a word in to tell me, Sean, we're fighting over a boy right now, and I'm sorry. That wasn't a decision that I made. Alicia, every single time that she went out for a cigarette break, she got a hold of me. She text messaged me to let me know that she wanted me to come have a cigarette with her. When she had lunch, it was the same thing. That broken ass phone that Bobby Forrest talks about remembering. That busted ass phone that didn't fucking work. 10 minutes after changing my number over from that flip phone that was in my name, 10 minutes after changing that over because she worked at the Cricket store, changing it over into her name, same number that I had on my flip phone, but now it's on this busted phone and it's in her name. And 10 minutes later, she quit her fucking job. The last conversation that her and I had before she quit her job, she said to me, Sean, you just need to be loved. And she was absolutely right, but I needed to be loved in person. Not pretty words on fucking Facebook. Their slander prevented me from seeing all of my loved ones. Their slander prevented me from taking her absolutely wonderful advice. That was a good piece of advice. That was a good piece of understanding 100%. I wasn't lonely for sex. I wasn't lonely for a girlfriend. I was lonely for help, for somebody to love me because somebody who loves you is going to protect you from that kind of abuse, and nobody protected me from that. None of these people had protected. None of these people whose lives I had saved. And lots of people wanted to, but there was distance between us that prevented them from being able to do so. Those of you who listened to the conversation between me and Jay, you understand the situation at Ken and Leah's was completely fucked. Brenda Dickinson wanted to ask me about the situation in Wyoming. Who did she hear it from? She heard it from Amy Spencer or Amy Kalina Kingery. Those of you who have heard the conversations between me and Ray Ray, you know that's fucking bullshit. But did I get to defend myself? No, I didn't. And the more you make me text as a form of communication, the more I want to blow my goddamn head off. I already know that I am never going to have a chance at an honest life, but my story can help to change the lives of others, to make their lives better, to change laws so these things don't fucking happen. Or at least there are measures in place to prevent officers from doing the things that they have done. Those phone calls that I made, literally thousands, over 1,000 phone calls easily to law enforcement and to therapists and to witnesses, all things that I couldn't record at the time. But I had that shit saved on those phones, and I can't show those phones. I spent months and months and months doing my best to record all of the information on those as best I could and transfer them over to hard drives or transfer them over to USB sticks. Doing my best without the help that I knew that I needed, the help that I had been promised. Rihanna didn't keep her word because she's an alcoholic. Shannon Alvarado didn't keep her word because she's an alcoholic. And I'm supposed to be happy with all the screaming and all of the abuse that happened in those places because they fed me. They put a roof over my head. And then they pretend that I am ungrateful for those things. No, I was very grateful for the food. I was grateful for the roof over my head. But those things I could have gotten at a fucking warming center with less fucking abuse. I could have gotten those things at a homeless shelter with less fucking abuse. It doesn't matter if you're abusing me or if you were abusing someone else. Amy Kalina Kingery's children abused each other. They abused Rihanna and they abused the shit out of me. Those girls were abusive there. Rihanna was abusive there. Do you know who is not abusive? Me. Do you know who is not abusive? It's Shannon Alvarado's house. I was not abusive at Shannon Alvarado's house. Shannon was abusive. So was Rick. And Shannon's daughter, yes, she was physically abusive. But her abuse was easily curtailed by not overwhelming her. The same things that overwhelm Shannon's daughter, who can't speak, those very same things overwhelm me. But I'm not allowed to say that, or I'm talking shit. When Shannon wasn't there being overly loud, overly complicated, her daughter was not like that. Her daughter was not physically violent. Now, if you sat down, yeah, she'd come over and she'd lift you up by your hair. So you just learn not to sit down. I pulled bags and bags and bags of alcohol bottles out of Shannon Alvarado's spare bedroom there, the one that she called Sean's room. Do you know why she called it Sean's room? When I got there, you couldn't go in that room. You literally could not open the door. I spent 3 days in excruciating pain, moving around things in that room that are far heavier than I should have been lifting, harming myself physically in the process just so I could get in there to have a safe, quiet environment away from her daughter and away from Shannon. And Shannon is not physically abusive. Rick was. Rick was physically abusive to Shannon's daughter. He's military trained. That's the way that you train them in the military. Get aggressive, get physical. He made things worse. And her daughter fucking hates Rick for a fucking reason. You have any idea how many times he choked her in front of me there? And in front of Shannon. And I couldn't say anything. Because my only chance of being able to speak out was waiting on Graham to keep his word to send that evidence to me. This evidence right here. No, it's not marijuana. Let's see how long this says. Still says 1 hour until it's done downloading. Still says an hour. 38% uploaded. You see how long it takes to do these things? A fucking shit ton of time to do it this way because I don't know another way to do it. You telling me doesn't show me how to do it. The people who offered to send me money to help me out, I don't have anywhere for them to send it to. I don't have a YouTube fucking GoFundMe thing for them to send it to. And a lot of you guys are like, what about all the money people sent you in those GoFundMes? I never got any of that money. Not one fucking penny of it. That's when it would have made a difference. That is when it would have made a difference. But Candace didn't want to admit that she was wrong. That she made a fucking mistake. Candace's pride was hurt. And she did evil things because her pride was more important than me. Someone who she claimed to love. But that wasn't the first time she had done that, now was it? Now there's messages between me and Natalie that were on my flip phone that I was finally able to get. And that was stolen in Washington State too. But at least I saved those fucking messages before it was stolen. And they're on my Facebook. And when I'm looking up Alicia's fucking bullshit, because it's on here, that part of Messenger is open. I just clicked on it. It's open. I can look at it. It's all ready to go. All the way back to the very beginning of that shit. Some of those messages were actually taken off of Facebook. Some of the messages between Natalie and I were actually taken off of Facebook. Do you know why? Because people reported them as spam because they showed the truth. The reason that Jamie Curtis didn't come forward about James is because she got back together with him. She got back together with her abuser, and who was it that suffered from it? Me. She wouldn't tell the truth because she got back together with the dude who bruised half of her body. She told her son that he threw her down the stairs, and yes, that is recorded. That is actually on my YouTube here. And that thing that you saw earlier where it said Z2, that's the second video with him. The conversation between James and I. James talks about Jamie punching him in the head. He said all he did was push her. As big as he is, yeah, that could hurt her a lot. He also admits to the steroids. Jamie's son said, well, he couldn't help it. He was on those supplements and they messed up his body. Those supplements were steroids. I want you to look at that video and then I want you to look up what happens when you use steroids long term. I want you to look it up. Believe it or not, I see James as a victim of Jamie's as well. She lied and misled the situation a lot because she didn't want me to know. First of all, she didn't want him to know that she was talking to me. And she didn't want me to know that she was dating him, or I would have put two and two to fucking together. Obviously, she told her son not to tell me anything about James, and obviously, she told her son not to tell James anything about me. She was trying to hide her wrongdoing. Every step of the way, I've been trying to show the truth, and all of it, not just the parts that make these people look like bad guys, all of it. It takes so much time to do it this way because I don't have help in person. I'm not allowed to have meltdowns over the abuse that I have to take, but I only have to take that abuse because of slander and because you don't want to take the time to understand. After an hour, when this one is finally done downloading, it's at 38%. How long is this video? 37 minutes, and it's only at 38%. Let's do some math on that. Now, it had already been downloading for an hour before this. So what's that, 4.5, 5 hours before it's done? And then I'll get another 30 minutes worth of collecting evidence to show you guys while being exhausted. The guy that I'm staying with, he's not here right now. So the TV's off downstairs. I don't have to worry about interrupting his lifestyle, interrupting his sleep. So I'm able to get more done. Yes, I'm still having a panic attack. I'm trying not to have a meltdown. I mean, right now oh my God. And I wrote things down everywhere that I went. Let's see what this one's about. This is part of a story. I don't know where the rest of it is. Laura Nelson dropped me off in Niwot, Colorado and wished me luck. On the way to Niwot, I had called Kayla Trujillo, but with traffic and semis, I couldn't hear her. This is the part after I left Candace Bondurant's house. That's what this part is. I can tell that already. I couldn't hear her and had to yell to hear myself, but she didn't have room. Not since Natalie went missing. In Niwot, I went to a drug dealer's house. That was Todd Case. Todd was the only person not scared of the police. Now, this wasn't supposed to be for the public. This was supposed to be for the police to look at, my lawyers to look at. Todd was the only person not scared of the police or Bollingers. He thought he might be related to Natalie. His sister, half sister, was a Kelly. Todd was volatile, and I was scared of how he treated his girlfriend, Chloe, so I called a mutual friend to rescue Miss Chloe, and I left. I was right, and Chloe's sister came to her rescue, but it took a bit. The friend I called for help was Kayla Trujillo, and the conversation that I had with her later on about it is on here on this YouTube. A lot of people were scared because I was alive Texting gives me severe panic attacks, so I needed my computer. I had just received my disability and went to Broomfield by bus to pick mine up, my computer. It wasn't there, it was in Adams County. It was late. I didn't know the buses, and it started snowing. I went to McDonald's and called Brandon Ratner. He took me to Louisville. Haley, a friend from Starbucks, had rented me a room at the La Quinta Inn so I could gather evidence and not freeze. She had contacted other former Pearl Street Starbucks employees to help, but I needed a computer. Brandon took me to a pawn shop to buy a computer. I had to buy a camera for it. It was frustrating. Then he took me to the La Quinta Inn. Just like with the room Candace rented me in Boulder, they needed my debit card since the room was rented by Haley. May was the person who checked me in. Very nice lady. She has Asperger's too, so we had a lot to talk about. She even helped me get my computer running and my camera working. I told her about Natalie. I wish that May could have been my advocate. She knew so much. I told her about Natalie and how her killer was still free and that I thought it was her dad or one of her ex boyfriends. Mackenzie was a manager at Starbucks 2 blocks away from La Quinta. Haley had told me to go there and that Mackenzie or Soraya would come help me. Mackenzie wasn't there, so I couldn't reach Soraya, and Haley was busy with her own life. But Neil DiMaccio, who helped me get out of Virginia in 2016, showed up. He only had 2 hours and needed a power cord for his phone, so I bought one, and he only had 45 minutes left, so he did what he could in 45 minutes and left. I realized how many people were scared because I exist. Some were scared of me, like Alicia, who I love. Some were scared of Ted, like Danica and Shelly, who I love. Some were scared of the cops, and some scared of internet nut jobs. A lot of people I love were scared, and people didn't understand that I needed taught, not told. I needed taught, not told. I was scared most for Alicia, Maddie, Danica, Shelley, and Candace, so I decided to kill myself to keep them safe. I bought 3 bottles of caffeine pills, a pack of sleeping pills, some cough syrup, and some chocolate pudding. The cops in Chapel ignored me before Natalie died, so had a lot of others who thought pretty words would make it better. I needed love in person where it mattered. Not tough love, but understanding, because without understanding, it's just being a judgmental asshole. Broomfield PD refused to take the report. So had Rogers and Peterson of Adams County and officers Lolatai and Vanderleest and her of Boulder and Michael Beard of Haxton Sheriff's Department, which put those I love at risk. So I took 20 caffeine pills, and it was 2 bottles of caffeine pills and 32 sleeping pills, a quarter bottle of cough syrup, and 2 Aleve. If I had to take pills because I was ordered to do so by Boulder courts, I was only doing it once. I put it all in the pudding and ate it. It was nasty. I can still taste it. It did the job almost. Natalie's death of Ted Bollinger, people asked how I knew Miss Shelley was the real Miss Shelley. It was because this is the next part of it is actually the next page. It says Dale 4, and this side says, Dale 3. So I should have started with this page first. Um, Natalie's death of Ted Bollinger, people asked how I knew Miss Shelley was the real Miss Shelley. It's because after I gave Detective Peterson my computer so they could use it to find Natalie the 29th of December, Alicia Bollinger called and asked if I knew where Natalie was. I saved the number. Miss Shelley was put in contact with me by Natalie Natalie's other ex-stepmom, Danica. The number was one I already had saved because Alicia's call came from Shelley's phone. When I called 911 in Haxton, I already knew the sheriff's department was patrolling Candace's house. Laura Nelson of Chapel, Nebraska had pointed out a few days earlier that the cops went around the block every 20 minutes. On the 16th, I told 911 what I was wearing, where I was, and walked outside. There was a sheriff's SUV coming my way. He stopped outside Candace's like he already knew what was up. I told him about the muffled phone call and how I texted several times to Shelley since with no reply and Ted being dangerous. He said, "It's out of my jurisdiction, write your local senator," with a smile on his face. That is when dispatch called him after I was talking with him. He refused to take a report but gave me his business card. Deputy Michael Beard. Miss Shelley called me then to tell me it was just a pocket dial. Michael Beard drove off. I was so scared about jurisdiction that I started looking for a safe house. Miss Shelley and for Miss Shelley and her kids. I called Rihanna Ingersoll in Wyoming, but she started crying. I actually scared I actually messaged her on Facebook. Her husband messaged me back to tell me she was scared and crying. Her husband didn't want me to ask Rihanna again, so I started searching elsewhere. The whole pocket dial Deputy Beard thing seemed like a setup to me, but I was distraught and scared for a lot of people. At least 30 people had been threatened for sticking up for me by this point. I was up most of the night trying to find a safe place for Shelley and her kids. The next day, January 17th, I got a text from Candace saying Michael Beard had been waiting outside her house when she took her kids to school and showed up again at her work to talk to her about me. Then her landlord threatened to kick her and her two daughters out in the January cold over it. I had one night to find a place and a ride, but not the whole night, just a few hours. Laura Nelson was my only hope. She came and got me. Candace paid her $40, and Laura taught me to screenshot on the way to Boulder County, screenshot on my telephone, not on my computer. I didn't learn that until November of 2018. Um, and paid her $40. And Laura taught me to screenshot on the way to Boulder County, where I still didn't know where I would be staying. Candace was going to help me learn to screenshot, but hadn't done it. So when the fourth or fifth person to not show me, if I had known how in early 2017, Natalie would have known I wasn't stalking her. I was telling the truth. I would have been able to show her what Tim Beeson was doing and what these other people were doing. Um, I was being called a rapist. Um, I was telling the truth. I was being called a rapist and a child molester over Natalie and Alicia and being accused of being on meth. I was only called names and threatened over the internet, but I could screenshot that if I had known how. I couldn't screenshot the threats, names, and assaults that were happening in real life, though. After Miss Laura showed me how on January 17th, I screenshotted as much as my phones would allow. There's more of those. There's a lot more of those. Uh here's a list of witnesses. I mean, holy fucking shit, you know? And that's just one part of a list of witnesses. I mean, there's more to it. And some of those names on there I wrote more than once, but I was having a severe panic attack and I was lucky to get any of them written down. Um Here's David With. He was one of my roommates there in Boulder County or in Arapahoe jail. He was there for some of the abuse that I was taking at the hands of the guards. Um, Here's some more business cards that I didn't find. This is Zoe Tanner. She was my public pretender in Larimer County. That was over me being assaulted in Larimer County by, that was the whole situation at Clearview Behavioral Health. Um, I don't know whose phone number this is. Uh, 0294. I recognize that number. 2207. I don't know whose that is, but it's somebody's. I mean, I was doing everything I could to get help. Um, Civil legal representation for survivors of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. Because I was the one being stalked by Natalie's friends and Maddie's friends, and the phone numbers. I had to smuggle that into the jail because they wouldn't let me have my phone. They wouldn't use my phone to show the evidence. I literally had to break the law to try to get them to look at that evidence because nobody would. And even after breaking the law, they wouldn't take a look at it no matter what. They were too hell bent on hiding the wrongdoing of these officers. Erica Clemens, Chapel Public Pretender. Steve Elmshauer, that was my public pretender here in Chapel. Um, this is addresses, inmate cash account, um, Boulder County Jail, date 8/29/2018. They assaulted the fuck out of me. They assaulted me 4 times in 4 days. Those two officers later on, they killed a man. It was all over the news. And still nobody would listen to me about the abuse I was enduring. Two of the officers who were involved, and there was literally over a dozen officers in the Boulder County Jail that were involved in those assaults. When the assault happened, when they strapped me to the chair, there were at least 7 officers involved in that. When I was assaulted by Officer Waylon Lolotai months and months and months earlier, they were making fun of me in there. They wouldn't allow me the name of Officer Waylon Lolotai. I had to find out later from Colorado Donkey Watch. Get on YouTube, type Colorado Donkey Watch. You'll see the dude. It was a post that he posted up where I recognized Waylon Lolotai, and I had to ask which officer it was. Is that Officer Waylon Lolotai or is that Officer Her? He said that's Officer Lolotai. I already knew who Vanderleest was. Uh, this is Oz Hernandez. I was in jail with him. He told me to get a hold of him when I got out. He was going to help me by speaking up about the abuse that I was enduring in there. Caleb Tuning, that's another one. I mean, there is so much here. This is some of the stuff that I was working on before Natalie died. It was an educational process. This right here, this is one of the inventive ways that I was able to write people's names down when I was locked up. I scratched the names into the cardboard lid of my lunch boxes there. One of the names here is Hart, and the other one is I can't tell because it's been folded right across that name. I mean, they did everything they could to send me into a panic attack and then use my panic attacks as their excuse for the fucked up shit that they were doing. They intentionally pushed me to the point that I was having fucking meltdowns. And then they said, see, he's dangerous because I was having a meltdown. But they had to push me to that point. This is a record of, and this diary, the things that are in here are also on this YouTube. I've read what's in it. I made this in the Arapahoe County Jail. I made it out of lunch sacks. The Jewish lunch sacks, the kosher ones are the white ones, and the brown lunch sacks are for everyone else. And I used the oatmeal from our breakfast to make glue to glue it together. And I more paperwork. And I saved every piece that I could. I wrote people's names down so that I could remember them on whatever strap that I had handy, whatever I could borrow, whatever I could. I mean, uh, this is from the Social Security Administration. It's about my disability. This one right here, Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department. I wrote so many of these. This one's from me, but there's more of them from other people. I mean, I wrote everywhere that I went. I wrote everything that I could down. Just because the police weren't going to take my report doesn't mean that I wasn't going to make them. Here's a bunch more. This one right here is from. This one's actually from me. This one's from me. Um, I mean, there's Zeki Abanata. There's another one from Zaki Abanata, another one from Zaki Abanata, another from Zaki Abanata, one from Craig Marcus D'Angelo, one from Noah Benson Matthews, um, and the officer in that particular case is Deputy McKinnon, and I wrote about him too. Um, the thing is that nobody would take a look at it. I even wrote Internal Affairs, who refused to do anything about it, and I was told by the people that were the you have inmates that they help out the guards, and those inmates that were helping out the guards, they would come back and tell me that the guards threw it away. They saw it in the garbage can, or they saw the cops throw it away, and I saw them throw it away too. This one's from Shannon Alvarado. Um, I mean, there was just so much. Uh, this one right here, it's got Nicole Gerald, Nicole Peralta, Jen Beebe, Jeff Ritter, Kara Heller, Tamara. These are all people that I was trying to get a hold of in the jail so that they could speak. Fucking come forward, God damn it. Um, and then the officers that I had to deal with, like Brian Valenzuela of Sheridan. I didn't even know that he was in Sheridan because he never identified where he was from. Um, and then there's Davis Kroll the Fourth. I was in jail with him too, and he was a witness to the shit that I was going through with Officer McRae and a lot of other stuff. Tennille Ellis, Victor West, Lamont Martin Anderson. These are jail inmates that I was with too. Jay Lynn was the Broomfield and Adams County victims' rights advocate, and Lisette Brown was supposed to be an autism advocate in Longmont. And then there's Tara Miller of Chapel with Adult Protective Services, and there's Officer Boensley, who was the medical officer. That guy was so fucked up. Oh my god. Um, McElrood, or Mullerud, that guy was a fucking piece of shit too. Um, Aunt B's number, Josh Hughes's number, Mandy Hughes's number, Shannon Alvarado's number, Dan Favorite's number, Peach's number, Tara's number. Tara's my little sister, by the way. Frank D'Azar, I tried calling him too. It wouldn't go through. The jail guards and the police knew that people were trying to help me. They knew that Mandy Hughes was trying to help me, and they prevented her money from getting to me. If her money had gotten to me from my phone, I could have called Miss Peaches and let her know what was going on. They prevent you from seeing the evidence. They prevent you from seeing the slander. I wasn't able to get that until after I'd already pled guilty. I had to plead guilty, and I pled guilty because of empty promises. Empty promises by my public pretenders who had repeatedly not shown up, repeatedly not done their job, repeatedly done nothing to collect the evidence. Fuck this goddamn country. Where the most victimized people in America get victimized further. It's been over an hour that this video has been going, and let's see how long it says on here until this is finished. 53% downloaded. 83 minutes remaining. You see that part where it says Z2? You notice that little symbol next to it? That symbol is because I was trying to make it private. Because I don't want the boy being at risk. But his words are important, and it says upload failed. It's still on the phone somewhere. I have to go back through literally thousands of screenshots just on this phone to try to find it. And hundreds upon hundreds of videos, and I have to scroll all the way through until I get it. I'm showing it the only way I know how, and I'm sorry that I have to do it this way, and I'm sorry it's so complicated.